Hello, my name is Corbin Vasile, and I'm here to talk about my program, Game Design, at Full Sail University. Before jumping into it, I want to talk about how I found myself going to Full Sail for game design in the first place. It's difficult to find an initial place where I began to dream of becoming a game designer in the game design industry. If I were to pinpoint it, it would be around Mario 64 back when that first came out, and I was like, I would look at it and I would think, hey, these things could be changed and developed in certain ways. I didn't really think in this completely advanced language. I wasn't like an 8-year-old. Like I see the intricacies of the science of the development phases of game design. No, I was like, man, Mario should jump higher. I don't know why that sounded like Mickey Mouse. So yeah, I just started dreaming from there about things that I could change or make different in games. They eventually evolved into these ideas that just started separating completely from this can be changed to what if I made this, or what if I developed this, what if this mechanic worked here, what if everything was awesome. Basically that's where I started. But the reason I came to Full Sail was junior year of high school. It was career day. I decided to go for game design and video game stuff, of course, because that's what I had in my mind. And I was going to go to Polytechnic University for their game design program, even though they're focused on engineering at that college, and it's one of their smaller programs. This was the day that it changed. It was career day, and a student came in, a student from Full Sail, and she presented a whole PowerPoint on the programs like audio, film, and video games. And they went. The thing about Polytechnic University is it was very, very vague. It was like, this is the game program, like all about making video games. While Full Sail broke it down in multiple pieces. There's game art, there's game dev, there's game design, and I wanted to do game design specifically, and I want to be a level designer, and even maybe more, expand my boundaries a little, hopefully. And I asked so many questions in that little presentation that I took up like all the time afterwards, and people were like staring at me like I was a freaking nerd, which I was. And eventually, the period ended and everyone else went to the next class, and I stepped to the side. I'm like, where is this at? Can I go tour it? What kind of stuff does it offer, and how does it help me? And I started writing down all these notes, and that was when I had my mind set on Full Sail University as my number one college I wanted to go to. Okay, so who is the game design program director here at Full Sail University? None other than the amazing Fernando de la Cruz, who works with a couple other people to manage the game design program. Huge thanks for them for, I don't know why I'm thanking them, but I just appreciate them supporting this program. I don't know. Whenever anything is related to supporting a dream that I have, even if it's directly or non-directly, I can't. It still must be like a lot of work managing so much. Game design is a huge thing. I don't. From what I've heard, it's not the biggest program compared to things like film, but it's still like it feels like a big role to take for a college, and I fully support them. And he also helped me realize something super important at Full Sail is friend groups. Friend groups. You can't see me doing it right now. You'll probably see me like doing some sort of thing later where I'm like friend groups. Yeah, friend groups are super important. Always find friends to work on your stuff with. Now, what languages and programs will I be using throughout game design? Well, those would mainly be the Unity and Unreal engines. They're super big engines that are all over. They're universal. I think in game design we're going to be focusing more on Unity, but Unreal is also there as well. Like they give us the option to use it. But Unity, Unreal are two free engines that anyone can use. One is each is like better for their certain things. Like Unity is a lot better for 2D games, and Unreal is a lot better for 3D games, first person games, stuff like that. But they're free engines that you could easily just go to the website and pick it up for yourself and immediately start making things if you knew how to do it. And they even have a whole tutorial system there, tutorial video series to kind of guide you through each step, which I haven't gotten through, but I plan on doing with my friends. And I can't wait to learn about both of them as much as I can, because I'm just so excited to not only create things for my projects for school, but I can't wait to just mess around with them on my own and make my own little projects, and then hopefully use those skills and those little stupid things I'm most likely going to develop in like a portfolio in the future when I get to a job offering. I'm like, hey, this is everything I've done. I want to show you it, and I want to show you what I can do and what I can do for your company. What design skills do I think are most important to focus on? I would personally say things like scripting, level design, and just the general basics of the Unreal and Unity engines. Learning those things down to their base level is super important. You need to know the functions and the purposes of almost everything in the engine to kind of make something. I suppose it's a lot like the English language. You can't write a book without knowing a language to write it in or knowing how to write it in the first place. I think by far the biggest challenges I will face throughout my journey here at Full Sail will be classes like discrete mathematics. I've struggled a lot with math in the past. I think it will strike again here, most definitely. I don't know why I've had a hard time with math. Whenever I understand the concepts, I can usually get it down really easily. Like, I remember even at the end of my, or at the start, rather, at the start of my senior year, I was like, I got that math down, but then over time it just all got confusing, and there was like, the teacher was just a little bit weird in explaining her concepts of math. And so, like, I started to get worse throughout the year, but when at the start I was smashing it, and people were like, it was that kind of thing. I was so proud to be in that moment because I've never seen it before. There's usually that moment where you're all in class and there's that one guy that always raises their hand first and knows the answer. And so they'll be like, what's 4x minus whatever, just, make a quick example. And they just, one person's hand shoots up and they're like, the answer to life, universe, and everything is 42. And it's like, correct, you get an A. Onward. At the start of my senior year, I had the honor of having that role for like a couple weeks, and it was horribly taken away from me when I got completely confused of what was going on. But yeah, I think math will definitely be super difficult, but I hope that I will be able to team up with my fellow students and friends to kind of power through. I don't really like to choose what I think is the easiest courses, but if I had to choose one or two that I thought might be slightly more easy to understand, just slightly, I would choose Introduction to Programming and Game Balancing. The reason I think this is because with Introduction to Programming, it is introducing me to topics I don't think I've ever seen before. A fresh start, if you will, that I don't think I could mess up on, because I feel like whenever I start something from the beginning, just like with my math class when I started from the beginning, I understand it very well. So if I feel like if I went into this class and I was introduced to these new concepts in the right way and with my friends, I feel like I would grasp it and hold it a lot better. And I also think that game balancing will be a little bit easier to understand, most likely because I feel like I know just a tiny bit of just a little bit about game balancing in the past already. But usually game balancing when it comes to competitive games, like how you balance characters or abilities and stuff like that. But I don't know too much about it, and I hope it will just help me. It will kind of support me as I go into game balancing, and it will kind of make it easier to understand. I think succeeding in difficult classes is all down to taking opportunities to study with others and ask questions to professors. If I tried to do this all alone in my apartment, staring at a paper full of numbers, it'd be like trying to speak an entire Spanish sentence when all I know is sí and no. Like Spanish no. No, but in Spanish. If I brought together other students, we could all work together to help each other understand how the concepts work without constantly barraging the professor with questions. But even then, asking the professor questions, just tell me your questions. Do you have the assignment? I think so. What am I doing? But even then, asking the professor questions about the assignment is always good, but sometimes there will be moments where the way they explain it, it just doesn't kind of work or click in my head. So seeing it from a different perspective with other students, and they kind of reteach it in a, so to say, in a way, if they retaught it to me, I would see it from that way, and I feel like it would click a lot better. So how would I break down my time to make sure I succeed in my classes? I have a simple system, which seems kind of weird at first, but it works very well. The way I do it is I start first day of the week. I get in there to the lecture or whatever, and I learn everything I need to, get the important information for my assignment, and I go on FSO or wherever that information may be, and I look at everything. I look at all the stuff I need to do. I see the instructions. I see the materials or content I need to work with, and I just figure out what the plan is going to be. I don't really plan it out, but I say in my head, so this is this, and it needs to be done here, when, where, why, how. And I kind of put that together in my head, and I just look it up and down and kind of talk with my friends in my Discord server about how this is going to work and how we got to make it function. And usually, maybe about halfway toward the end of the day, I will begin working on it, which seems a bit weird since I just spent the entire day just looking at it like, I think this is how that works. But by the end of the day, I'm like, yes, this is definitely how this works. I'm going to start now. But I wouldn't go like all night. I would take a lot of breaks. I do take a lot of breaks. And the next day, after I wake up, do everything, I immediately start working on the assignment. Again, with a lot of breaks, so I don't get some major burnout, in which I would end up sarcasming. I would end up procrastinating all day until like the last minute. I'm like, okay, fine, let's do it now. Which, just a secret between you and me, this is totally one of those moments where I was burnt out on stuff, and this is kind of last moment. But you know, it's okay, because I'm fixing it. I promise. But yeah, it prevents burnout, and I can just keep moving. And so I would finish that assignment, and before the end of the day, usually around halfway through the day, I'll be finished with the first assignment, and I'll repeat the process with the next one. I will get all the information I need, all the details, all the materials and content, and I will start looking over it and figuring out what I need to do. Repeat until the end of the week. And sometimes I will overlap them into each other if it's a more constricted time. And that's how I got here to game design, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and how I know everything about the game design program. Thank you so much for listening to my voice. I hope you enjoy the Super Mario Odyssey skills, which is probably more embarrassing than anything. But I'm just going off the script now. I'm just talking at a microphone. But have a good night.